Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today, we are going to be talking about the Chrisley family.
Oh, yeah, the Chrisleys?
Specifically, Todd and Julie Chrisley. You may know them from their reality show, Chrisley Knows Best,
Right.
where they had this seemingly picture-perfect life in the South.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, things took a very dramatic turn.
Yeah.
Because they were convicted of some pretty serious financial crimes.
It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were really surprised by it and caught off guard. It definitely grabbed the attention.
Yeah, and it goes way deeper than, just like a typical celebrity tax evasion story.
Right.
You see pretty awesome.
Totally.
So, as always, we did a deep dive into a bunch of articles today. We're looking at articles from the Nashville Celebrity Gossip Report for the legal details.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have a website called Chrisley Knows Prison.
Oh, wow.
Which is...
That's a little on the nose.
I know it's a little intense.
Yeah.
But it claims to be from, like, the actual victims.
Interesting.
Of the Chrisleys' crimes.
Okay, so like a different perspective.
Yeah. So today our goal is really to go beyond the headlines.
Okay.
We want to understand what really happened.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to try to understand what impact this has had on their family.
Yeah.
And also just the world of reality TV.
Sure.
So let's just start with the facts.
Okay.
Todd was sentenced to 12 years in prison.
Wow.
And Julie received 7.
Okay.
Both with additional probation.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that really stood out to me was the prosecution was originally pushing for much harsher sentences.
Really?
Yeah, like 22 years for Todd.
Oh, my gosh.
And 12 for Julie.
That's a huge gap.
I know. So, like, what did they do?
Yeah, what made it so bad?
That made those sentences even, like, on the table.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think the severity of the sentences really reflects just how complex and big the scale of their crimes were.
Okay.
Because tax evasion is often the thing that comes up with celebrity financial scandals.
Right.
But this case with the Chrisleys involved so many more illegal activities.
Yeah, what else did they do?
So we're talking bank fraud.
Okay.
We're talking creating and submitting forged documents.
What?
And funneling money through shell companies.
What are shell companies?
They're basically like these dummy corporations designed to hide the true source and ownership of money.
Wow.
So like, it's really a whole web of deceit here.
Yeah.
And the prosecution really argued that this wasn't just like a one-time mistake,
right,
but a pattern of calculated deception.
Over years?
Yes, over many years.
Wow.
So that's why they were pushing for such a long sentence.
It wasn't just a slip-up. It was, like, deliberate.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it gets even more interesting because Mark Braddock, who is Todd's former business partner,
okay,
he plays a key role here.
How so?
So not only did he testify against Todd,
oh, wow,
but he also claimed that they had a past affair.
What?
Yeah, and the prosecution granted Braddock immunity.
Oh, so he got off scot-free.
Yeah, in exchange for his testimony.
So he must have had some serious dirt.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, what could he have possibly known?
Right.
That would warrant that?
Yeah, his testimony must have been pretty big for them to give him immunity.
For sure.
Wow.
Yeah, and so Braddock's testimony was definitely like this turning point in the case.
Okay.
He alleged that he helped Todd create all of these fake documents.
Like the ones you were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He even said that he impersonated him sometimes to secure loans.
He was forging his signature and everything?
Yeah, and so that really solidified the prosecution's case.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Like that insider knowledge.
Yeah, he was right there.
Yeah, and I'm sure the jury found it very compelling.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I think the prosecution was really eager to get him on the stand.
Of course.
His testimony adds this whole other layer of intrigue and potential motives.
Yeah.
We see these personal relationships intertwined with these complex financial schemes.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how much was driven by personal ambition versus trying to maintain their lifestyle.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because their lifestyles seem very extravagant.
Very.
Yeah.
And speaking of maintaining that lifestyle, there's another twist.
Okay, what's that?
The Chrisleys were apparently being blackmailed.
Seriously?
By someone who demanded $38,000 from Todd.
Wow. 38 grand.
I know.
That's a lot of money.
And they actually paid it.
They paid the blackmailer?
Yeah, in 4 separate installments.
Wow, so they were really trying to keep this quiet.
Yeah.
So blackmail on top of everything else.
I know, it's like a true crime thriller.
Totally.
So was this connected to their other financial dealings, or was this a total separate issue?
Yeah.
We don't know.
It's hard to say for sure,
Right.
but it does paint a picture of A life that may have been spiraling
Behind the scenes.
right behind the facade of the perfect TV show.
Yeah, think about it. Blackmail,
Right.
forged documents, the alleged affair.
It sounds like they were really trying to keep up appearances.
Totally not.
Yeah, while their financial situation was probably just crumbling.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if the pressure to keep up this image of wealth and success
Right.
played a role in their actions.
For sure.
You know, it's like the reality they were portraying on TV
Yeah.
was very different from the reality they were living behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
And then on top of all of this, we have the family history,
Oh.
which adds another layer of complexity.
In what way?
So Todd's father, Jane Raymond Chrisley,
Okay.
also had a past with run-ins with the law.
No way, really?
Yes, and we're talking a long list of offenses.
Oh, what?
Burglary, armed robbery,
Oh, what?
assaulting a police officer.
Oh my gosh.
He even escaped from prison at one point.
Are you serious?
I know.
It's like something out of a movie.
I know. And knowing this about Todd's father really makes you think about the influence of family history
Right.
and upbringing,
Yeah, for sure.
like on someone's choices.
Totally.
Did those experiences shape Todd's perspective on right and wrong?
Mm-hmm.
You know, was there something about their environment or family dynamics that contributed to this pattern of illegal activity?
Well, that's a very complicated question.
Yeah.
It's something that criminologists and sociologists have been trying to figure out for years.
Right.
Like, is criminal behavior something that's learned? Is it inherited? Is it a little bit of both?
Yeah.
It's tough to say.
I don't know if we'll ever know the answer,
Probably not.
but it's definitely something to think about.
For sure.
Yeah, it is fascinating. It's especially interesting in this case, though, because of the reality TV element.
Right.
The Chrisleys built their fame on showcasing their family life, their wealth, their values.
Yeah.
And now we see this stark contrast
Mm-hmm.
between that carefully crafted image
Yeah.
and like the reality of their actions.
It definitely makes you question how much of what we see on reality TV is actually genuine.
For sure.
And it brings up this question of complicity.
Yeah, like what do you mean?
Well, were viewers, networks, production companies,
Right.
were we all kind of participating in creating this narrative that might have been far from the truth?
It's a good point. If we as viewers are buying into these manufactured realities,
Right.
are we contributing to the problem?
It's possible.
I know I've definitely been guilty of getting caught up
Yeah.
in the drama
Yeah.
and the personalities on reality TV.
Of course.
But maybe this is a wake-up call to be more discerning about what we're consuming and supporting.
I think it's a tricky balance because
Yeah.
reality TV can be entertaining,
Totally.
but we have to remember it's a business.
Right. It's not real life.
Yeah. These shows are edited.
Right.
Storylines are crafted. Personalities are amplified to make the most compelling narratives.
Exactly. And it seems like in the Chrisleys case, that desire to maintain this certain image
Right.
might have pushed them to go to these crazy lengths.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to that Chrisley Knows Prison website.
Yeah.
It claims to be run by people who were directly impacted by the Chrisleys' financial schemes.
Okay.
They say they're going to release evidence that will further expose the truth about the family.
I'm curious, though, like, what kind of evidence could they possibly have
Right.
that would make a significant impact at this point?
Well, I mean, the court case already established their guilt
Right.
based on financial records,
Right.
witness testimonies,
Right.
and all that legal documentation.
Yeah.
But what this website offers is a potential glimpse into the human impact
Okay.
of these crimes.
Right.
It could be things like personal accounts from individuals who lost money
Oh, wow.
or businesses that went under because of the Chrisleys' actions.
So it's adding a whole other layer of understanding to this story,
Right.
going beyond the legal and financial aspects to actually reveal the real-world consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like we've seen the public persona,
Yeah.
the legal battle,
Right.
and now we might get a chance to hear from the people
Yeah.
who are personally affected.
Exactly. And that's what makes this case so compelling.
Yeah.
It touches on so many different aspects of our society.
Like what?
Our fascination with fame and wealth,
Right?
the blurred lines between reality and fabrication.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier, those blurred lines between reality and fabrication.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's such an important point because we see this playing out in the media constantly.
All of the time.
With social media influencers and reality TV,
Yeah.
it's becoming harder and harder to tell what's genuine
Mm-hmm.
and what's manufactured.
Absolutely. And the Chrisley case is a perfect example of how that blurred line can have really serious consequences.
Right.
They built an empire
Yeah.
on presenting a certain image of themselves.
Right.
And when that image started to crumble, they just resorted to these desperate measures.
To keep it from collapsing.
Exactly.
I remember watching their show
Mm-hmm.
and thinking they seemed like a pretty typical, albeit wealthy
Right.
Southern family.
Yeah.
They had their quirks and their conflicts, but, they always seemed to work things out in the end.
Right.
Looking back, it's hard to believe that so much was happening behind the scenes.
It really highlights the curated nature of reality TV.
Yeah.
We get a glimpse into these people's lives,
Right.
but it's often a highly controlled and edited version of reality.
And now we have this website
Right.
promising to reveal a different side.
A potentially much darker side.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if there are other reality TV families out there with secrets
Oh, I'm sure there are.
lurking beneath their carefully constructed facade.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a question that lingers: how much of what we see on these shows is genuine?
Right.
And how much is just a product of skillful editing and strategic storytelling?
It's a good question.
And ultimately, does it even matter?
That's a tough one.
Are we, as viewers, too quick to accept what we're presented with?
Yeah.
Or should we be more skeptical and demand greater transparency from the shows that we watch?
Those are all questions worth thinking about.
Yeah,
And it's a conversation that needs to continue.
for sure.
We can't just blindly consume entertainment without considering the potential consequences of blurring those lines.
Between reality and fabrication.
Exactly.
So I think while we wait for Chrisley knows prison to drop their promised evidence,
Yeah.
it's important to consider the bigger picture.
Yeah, what does this tell us?
Yeah, like what does the Chrisley family saga tell us about the state of reality TV, about our consumption of media, and our own perceptions of truth?
Right, like what is real anymore?
Exactly. This is crazy. It feels like we've only scratched the surface.
I know, right?
It's like those Russian nesting dolls.
Uh-huh.
You open one, and there's another one inside.
Right,
And
it
another
keeps going.
You got the Chrisleys' public image from the show.
Yeah.
Then the legal case revealing the financial crimes. And now this website
Right.
hinting at even more revelations from the victims.
Yeah, and that's what makes this so interesting.
Totally.
We're not just like rehashing the news.
Right.
We're actually trying to understand the motivations,
Right.
the consequences, or the human stories that we don't always hear about.
Yeah, for sure. And, I was thinking about something you said earlier
What's that?
about the Chrisleys wanting to maintain a certain image.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me wonder, did their involvement in reality TV make that need even worse?
Oh, interesting.
Like, was there pressure to live up to this persona that they'd created for the cameras,
Yeah.
even if it meant going to crazy lengths?
To keep up appearances?
Yeah.
It's definitely possible. I mean, think about it.
Right.
The constant scrutiny, the need to create these compelling storylines.
For the show.
Yeah, all of that could have easily intensified their desire to look successful.
Right.
Even if it meant hiding the truth.
Because reality TV, by its very nature,
Right.
is about presenting a version of reality.
It's not always real reality.
Exactly. And for someone like Todd Chrisley,
Uh-huh.
who seems to thrive on that attention
Yeah, he loves the spotlight.
and the public image, maybe that lines between the two realities got blurry for him.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. And the pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle, keep up on the Joneses.
Sure.
It's something a lot of people can relate to.
For sure.
Even if they're not on TV.
Yeah, we all feel that pressure to present a certain version of ourselves.
Right.
Whether it's on social media, at work, even among friends and family.
Totally.
But the Chrisley case takes this to like the extreme.
It does.
It shows what can happen when that pressure becomes too much.
When it spirals, it's a cautionary tale.
Yes.
About putting image over integrity.
Right?
And the consequences of building a life on lies.
So where do we go from here?
That's the big question.
What's the takeaway for us as viewers, as consumers of media,
Yeah.
as people just trying to figure out a world where the lines between real and fake are so blurred?
I think it all comes down to being a more careful consumer of information.
Okay.
Question what you see. Look for different perspectives.
All right.
Remember that everyone has a story,
Even the people who seem like they have it all?
especially those people.
It's a good reminder that looks can be deceiving
For sure.
and that real wealth isn't about stuff.
Right.
It's about honesty and integrity.
And genuine connection.
Yeah, those are the things that matter. So as we wait to see what Chrisley Knows Prison reveals, I think it's important to keep all of that in mind.
I agree.
Let's challenge ourselves to look beyond the surface,
Yeah.
to question those narratives we see,
Right.
and to try to really understand the world around us.
Absolutely. Well said.
So on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us as we explored the wild world of the Chrisley family.
It was quite a ride.
It was. And don't forget to check out the show notes for links to all the sources.
Especially that Chrisley Knows Prison website.
Yes, we'll be keeping an eye on that story as it develops.
Me too.
Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.